3 meetings that we have had since our last time together. A regular meeting from April, a curriculum presentation meeting, and a board reorganization meeting that was at the end of April, and I guess they both were at the end of April.
Motion to approve all 3.
Okay, any questions on any of the minutes? We have a motion, do we have a second? And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we need to approve the agenda, but we're going to move things a little bit differently. We are tonight having the finale band concert at the high school. So we have a few students and parents that want to get there, so we're going to rearrange a few things so that we can get as many people there as we can tonight. So in the regular part of the meeting, we're going to skip over the Friend of Community a little while, but we're going to put Alina first, just hold off, and then we're going to have the foreign exchange students, and then we are going to have our new teacher project, and then we'll do the Warrior Spotlight as listed, and then our community award project. So I'll just let you know when I need you up here. But with those changes, I need approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry about that, but we do want to get everybody where they need to be tonight. Next, if there's any public comments, and I did not receive any slips, usually you fill those out when you come in. No public comments? Okay, that means we can move along to our student council report by Alina, and she will get to the band concert.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. So Abby isn't here because she's already at the band concert.
Right. Okay.
So that leads me right in that tonight is the band concert, and then on next week on May 21st is the choir concert, and then this Thursday is the orchestra concert as well. And all of the concerts during this time of year are super important because all of our music programs are sending off a lot of senior students, so it's definitely a big deal for them. We also recently had the musical that went great. We had a lot of people in attendance, and it was overall a really successful show. Formata, which is our music and drama group that is right now is gaining a lot more representatives as some of our band and choir representatives are graduating this year. So they're in the process of choosing new people. And just another opportunity for those in choir, they are invited to the Festival Choir of Madison Spring Concert, which is on May 31st. So anyone who's in choir that's interested can email Ms. Petroff and sign up for tickets for that. And then moving on to sports, we have track conference, which is coming up on the 20th. And just continuing is boys golf and then boys and girls lacrosse. And also softball conference is coming up in about 2 weeks. And additionally, for any students or parents that are interested in NIL, there's a workshop occurring on June 4th at 7 p.m. at the high school. So anyone who has any sort of interest in that is welcome to come and attend that meeting. I do think you would have to RSVP for that, however. School-wise, we have AP testing, which has been going on for last week and this week, and I believe the week after. I could be wrong on that, though. And class officer applications for anyone interested are also due this Friday, which is separate from like specific clubs, but that's just run through the school. And today during homeroom, we also took a student climate survey, which I know Abby and I have brought up the numbers of those a couple times throughout the year. So we're just hoping to see improvements in that, and it's definitely something we look at as a student council team, and we always hope to see improvements to start our school year on a good note next year. Over the summer, we have Spanish, Science and Service, and Mandarin groups are all taking field trips this summer. We have Spain, Sweden, Denmark, and China, which is all super cool opportunities for everyone involved. And finals week is also coming up in June, which seems like far away, but it's coming pretty fast. And then clubs-wise, a lot of officer elections are coming up. I know student council's on Friday. National Honor Society inducted our officers last week. And then additionally, a week or two ago, DECA sent members to ICDC in Florida, which was their national competition. Nobody placed, but it was a really honorable experience for everyone who was able to go. And ending on May 23rd, FBLA is hosting a school drive, which benefits entrepreneurs in places like Haiti and Honduras. And so it's going to help them sustain small businesses. So donating any new or gently used shoes, there's a bin outside the main office for anyone interested in that. And some sophomore, junior students have also been invited to advocate for freshmen on the freshman first day. I know Abby and I are both participating in that, so we'll do a couple workshops over the summer and prepare to help show them around to classrooms and what we do at the high school on their first day. And then last thing I wanted to say, FFA banquet is coming up on Monday of next week, and Abby and I are both a part of FFA, so we've been super appreciative of you guys allowing us to express our club. So if you want to pass these down, everyone here is invited to the FFA banquet. There's a QR code you can scan on there, or there's a paper version you can fill out on the back and just send it into the school. And we'll have our kind of formal ceremony that we always have. It's a really cool experience. You get a meal. We just ask that you RSVP, and we love to see you all there. It's super fun, and get to see some of the awards and some of the events that we do as well. So that was just kind of our final send-off. Me and Abby just want to thank you guys for everything you have allowed us to do this year and listening to our voice in the school. And hopefully, if our officer applications go well, then hopefully we'll see you again next year. But otherwise, just thank you for the opportunity you've offered us this year. So yeah.
Elena, you have been wonderful, and Abby as well. Thank you so much. Your updates have been so comprehensive and enlightening, and I mean, I've learned so much with what you have told us this year. So thank you, and I hope those elections go well, and we see you next year.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, and go have fun at the concert. All right, next we would like to recognize, as our school year is ending, our foreign exchange students.
Yes, and good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're very happy to have you this evening. I do not believe we have any of our foreign exchange students in the room. I, however, would like to call their names to at least recognize them. First, we have Francisco Alvarez. We have Emma Bayette. She has lacrosse tonight, so she would not have been able to make it. Carmen Delgado and Luisa Linkmeyer. So we would just give them a round of applause for being with us for the entire school. And we will make sure that they get their certificates.
Thank you. And now is when we start switching a little bit more around. We are going to do the new teacher project right now. So we have Heather Lott, Tom Howe, Sharon Melton here, who have lots of years of time that they have put into this program. So welcome and thank you.
No, we are not old.
You are not old. These are experienced.
Thanks, everybody. I'm Heather Lott, and since 2017, I've either shared the chairing and directoring of the Dane County New Teacher Project, or I've done it by myself, but Tom and I shared it for one of those years in there. So I'm delighted to be here. And I'm winding down my career with the Dane County New Teacher Project, and will be retiring soon. And we're blessed to have a new director coming in, Jaren Bailey, and she's at the end here as well. So I thought it would be really helpful for you all to see what the future looks like. Just a few words, and just thanks to this district. The Dane County New Teacher Project began in 2003 and I'm hoping that the two of you can correct me if I make little mistakes, because you were here for this and I'm just repeating what I've heard. When a grant was written in partnership with Monona Grove with the focus on mentoring for new teachers. Since then, the consortium grew to include 22 districts at one point, and this year DCNTP has 18 school districts in our area whose new educators, mentors, instructional coaches, and school leaders actively learn with and from each other in our consortium. The consortium's grown to also include Partners for Racial Inclusion. It's a project that's helping our districts recruit, support, and retain new educators of color in our area who better represent our regional student population. In all of our 23 years and across all of our growth and changes, a Waunakee Community School District has served as our fiscal agent, which sounds really impersonal and businessy, and never was. It's always been very personal and businessy, not impersonal. And that's because of you, Steve. Since the beginning, Steve Summers was there to help us figure out the financial and budgeting solutions so we could stay viable and solvent And Tim Schell, and now Amy Johnson, but Tim Schell was one of our earliest mega fans and called on us for professional development, and rewarded us with high praise and a commitment to the consortium. These people and your district get us. And we wouldn't have lasted this long without that kindness and professional confidence in us. We're now at a point where for the first time in our history, we've been able to hire a full-time director who has not yet retired. And with that beautiful growth also comes the need to provide much more than a local school district can be asked to provide for us. And so we will be shifting now to CISA 2 as our fiscal agent starting in July. We're here today to pay tribute to this school district and offer our deepest gratitude for all the years of service and support. We have felt we always belonged here, and you made us welcome tenants in Waunakee. And because of you, we've been able to do our business without having to think about the behind-the-scenes fiscal work. Things just ran like magic. The work matters, and your commitment to it does too. Each year in our area, about 600 brand new beginning teachers are working with mentors, and that directly impacts about 18,000 students per year. A conservative estimate since our beginning is that DCNTP has served a total of 8,000 new educators and impacted 250,000 students whose teacher was working with a mentor at the time. So pretty impressive, and our thanks is to you. We're so grateful for your support. For a few minutes, I know Sharon has a grandson in that concert, so I'd like to invite you to say anything you like, and then Tom can close us out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know that I've ever been more proud to be a part of this district. I taught here for, I don't even remember how many years, it was a long time, and then I still had the support to go on and do this project for 10 years. And I would like to tell you how it started. This will take me 1 minute, I promise. I was going to be going to Washington, D.C. to work for Secretary Riley, and he was Secretary of Education. John Janty, one of our colleagues, came to my door before I was leaving. I was going to take a leave from this job of teaching chemistry at the high school for a year. And John Janty came into my room one night and he said, "Sharon, they will have so many jobs for you out there in your new role. What do you want to focus on?" And I said, "The most important thing to me right now is how do we support new teachers that come into the profession?" Easy question. And so going out there, I was able to say that. I met up with a group called the New Teacher Center from California. And shortly thereafter, they said, "Would you like a job with us?" And we were the first project ever outside the state of California with a New Teacher Center. And they hired me to start the project here. We had no idea what that would look like. And the support that we got was amazing. After 1 year of leave, I had to call Gene Homley, my superintendent. And I called and he said, "Sharon, I've been waiting for this call all day. Are you coming back to teach chemistry, or are you going to still be on leave?" And I said, "Mr. Homley, not only would I like to ask you for another year's leave of absence, but do you think you could provide clerical help and office space for us?" And he said, "What are you talking about?" PI 34 had just been passed, which said you will provide support for new teachers. And this was how to get new teachers better, faster for kids. It wasn't about wiping tears. It was about supporting them so they could own their practice. That project, being in the right place at the right time, just was absolutely very fortunate, very lucky for me, and I think very lucky by the stats you just gave, Heather, for all of us. So I can't thank you enough. And Steve, amazingly, your support has been wonderful. So thank you right from the get-go. And a lot of other people too, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for that one
Says one grandparent to another. Get to that grandchild thing. My name's Tom Howe. Sharon tapped me to help her in 2003 when this project started as a coordinator. So I did that work from 2003 till 10. Then I returned to the classroom for 1 year, then I retired and came back and directed the project until 2017. And so I looked up the root of the word Waunakee, and it says fair and pleasant valley, and I'd like to add to that generous valley. And I might even toss in kind, because though I was a teacher on loan from Monona Grove, I always felt very welcomed here and very supported. From custodians to superintendents, from administrative assistants to colleagues, it was awesome. And so I was here a lot. I was here almost a third of my educational career, and so I want to thank you for that. The pilot grant was written by Mike Hensgens. Some of you might remember him or know him. Terrific educator and someone who is very supportive of our project. We also should mention Chuck Purcell, someone who came as an interim superintendent and spent 5 years here and was also a tireless cheerleader for us. And I hate to pile on, but Steve Summers, if you want, he's the straw that stirred the drink. So he really helped us move this along. And Randy was terrific in all superintendent meetings, always being a voice of great support, and also with his colleagues, with fellow superintendents, to let them now know how important this was. So I want to thank you again. This has been a year of looking back. We're going to have our last work time together on Thursday, and so we've been able to reflect. And thanks to each of you and for Waunakee. Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'm so
very
grateful.
much. Thank you. Awesome. So I think next we're doing Warrior Spotlight.
Yes.
Did you want to introduce that, Dr. Brown?
Yes. So first we have our youth apprenticeship. Michelle, do you want to come to the table?
Everyone who's talking next to come up here. I'm just going to sit off to the side. Thanks. I will give you some back.
I'm gonna have to go in there. To be at the concert too.
Good evening. My name is Michelle McGlynn, and I'm the School of Career and Career and Tech Ed Coordinator at the high school. And I get the privilege of working with our youth apprenticeship students. Just a small fraction of them are here tonight to share their stories with you. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of a high-level overview. I know we have some new board members, so I want to just give you a little bit of information about what the youth apprenticeship program is, and then I'm going to turn it over to the students to share their stories. So the Youth Apprenticeship Program is sponsored by the state of Wisconsin to put money into a program to get students into high-wage, high-skill, and high-demand career choices. And we're really lucky because they keep expanding those pathways. It started out where like health science and construction and agriculture were about the only ones. We've now added human resources and education and marketing and some of the other newer pathways that we're trying to fill those pipelines in the state of Wisconsin. And so we are lucky here in Waunakee that we have supportive administrative staff and other staff members who are allowing our students to have work releases to go out on job sites and get real world skills. I wanted to just show you this because our numbers in the last couple years have really grown. They've stayed pretty consistent since 2010 in kind of that 20 to 30 student range. And then you'll notice post-COVID that students started realizing that there are a lot of opportunities outside of our traditional school building. And so more and more parents and more students have been interested in being in this program. And so in 2022 and 23, we had 38 students. We're projecting to have 85 apprentices next year. This year we have 72, and there's about 10 students here to share their stories. So. You can just kind of see the growth, how it just kind of stayed. There was some ebbs and flows, and then all of a sudden it's taken off. And this is definitely not unique to Waunakee. Dane County's enrollment overall has been exponentially growing. We are really proud that this year Waunakee has the most youth apprentices in all of the Dane County districts. This is the first time we've ever had that, so we are celebrating that as well. And then this just shows you the different pathways that our Waunakee students are participating in. So you can see in that green area, the largest sector that we have is our health science careers. And I'm excited that we have a couple students here from that and the different health science areas to talk about that. And then we have business and finance, which is another big one. I'm really proud that our construction program has grown so much. When I first took this job 10 years ago, we didn't have any construction apprentices. And this year, I think I have like 8 of them. So that's really exciting. All right, so I am done speaking. What I would like to do is the students will introduce themselves, and they're gonna just give you a 1 or 2 minute overview about their experience in the program.
Perfect.
Put me on the spot.
I am.
I'm Logan Burns. I work as a phlebotomist at UW. The experience that I've gotten from it is way more than I could ever get out of a classroom experience, I feel. A lot of us could probably agree that like education is a lot more than just like test scores and like numbers, I guess. But really those like moments in building your skills on communication and patient care. I'm lucky enough I get to be directly facing with patients, drawing their lab work all day. And just like kind of helping them and mentoring them through that like sometimes stressful and like scary time for them has definitely expanded my skills and given me opportunity to grow in the healthcare field. I've been kind of reflecting ever since I was like kind of thinking about this. I'm starting in the ED in a couple months, and I'll be working in the emergency room at the UW hospital. But just all the mentors that I was able to find through this program, I've been able to talk to doctors that work in the emergency room, med flight workers, surgeons, nurses, a plethora of people. And I think that those, like my networking and connections that I have definitely set me up for my future a lot more than I would have ever imagined at this age. So I really enjoy this program and definitely am a big advocate for it, as it's given me a wide variety of experiences and advice and guidance kind of in my career.
Hi, I'm Cole Gasho. I'm working at an internship up at Nordgear for IT, working for Patrick Schiffman. I'd say some of the main points that I've reflected on is problem solving, just being skillful and being able to communicate with peers. In the workplace, I found myself being able to ask for help when I needed and even asking questions, getting answers that really help out in the workplace, as well as, excuse me, as well as being able to show that as well as being able to show the skills in IT. I know working with Logan up at Nordgear, he has been a big help for me for learning all this different stuff and all this new technology and helping me out. So he's been a big help. So is Ms. McGlynn finding an internship for me, and I really appreciate that. And I'd say all in all, it's been a really good experience so far, and I hope to take this into future careers.
I'm Dominic. I'm one of the education apprentices, so I work at the Waunakee Intermediate School with a 6th grade teacher, Mr. Thingvold, and so working at the intermediate school and honestly just like having so many impactful teachers in my time going to Waunakee has really made me come to appreciate education, which is why am part of this program, and so it's really helped me a lot gain more leadership experience, I feel like, because, you know, going into education, I feel a lot of people always tell me that being in the classroom is like the best experience you can get, which you can't really get, you know, from a class, I guess. And so, I have 2 classes. I'm there in the morning every other day for 2 different math classes, and I feel like I've gotten a really close bond with the students I work with this year because even though I'm still young, I feel like they've come to appreciate me as like one of the teachers in the classroom, and I've gotten the chance to, you know, I feel like build more personal relationships with some students, like in terms of just being someone supportive, like my teachers have been for me. I know some of the teachers I have who have been supportive are in the room right now, so I've had so many teachers who I've come to appreciate, and I think the Youth Apprenticeship Program has helped me to realize that education is definitely the career I want to go into. So next year I'm going to be working with a different teacher so that I can kind of learn from different teaching styles, and this year I've started, now that we're at the end of the year, I've kind of started leading more of our class activities, and I feel like that's helped me a lot, so I feel like I'm missing something, but yeah.
Hi, I'm Myla Bryan. I work as a behavioral health technician at Solarian Dane County Care Center. It's a crisis respite center for people with substance abuse and mental health issues. And working there, I've worked there for the past 2 years, and I think it's really given me a lot of experience in the mental health field that you couldn't really get anywhere else. And I've come across so many unique experiences that really represent an underserved part of our community. That's really given me such a passion to work in the mental health field. And I'll be attending UW-Madison next year and studying psychology. And this program has really helped me realize what I want to do and that I want to keep continuing to work in this field. And I just think the Youth Apprenticeship Program gives kids such great opportunities to get real work experience, and a lot of the things that happen in my workday you wouldn't even be able to think of. It's wild, but it gives me a lot of great experience with crisis de-escalation, and it's just been a great experience. And you get to work during the school day and get paid, so you get a bonus. You better, yeah.
I'm Gracie Meinholtz. I work as a vet assistant at Poynette Veterinary Care. I have a horse, and so I've always known that I've loved animals, but I didn't really think that I wanted to go into small animal medicine. I kind of wanted to err more on the large animal side, but now in this program, it's kind of hard to find a large animal clinic that wants young people to do stuff on large animals. So I instead went to a small animal clinic, and like I said, I work in Poynette right from work. But I do feel like this opportunity has been really good for me. Having Miss McGlynn has been great. She's been really supportive of me, and even after feeling like my job might not be the environment that I want, she's still been very supportive and helped me kind of be like, it's okay, you can totally find a new clinic. I feel like this has helped me connect with people in the community, even though I don't live in Poynette. I feel like it's helped me be connected to patients and owners, as well as bond with people that are a lot older than me and learn how to work with a lot of different ages of people. Knowing how to manage my schoolwork when I only have an hour or two to do it every night. Just kind of stuff that I feel like you need to know when you get to college and you're kind of on your own. I feel like this has really presented me with a lot of area to work with and getting all that stuff I need to be a sufficient adult when I am an adult. So I feel like it's really just helped me grow up and really realize the world isn't really how you feel like it is. But I feel like this is just such a great opportunity, and I want to also
get young people, freshmen, sophomores, I want them to know about the program. I'm a really big advocate for it, and I feel like it's the best thing you can do for yourself. And on top of that, like Mila said, making extra money and stuff during the school day is really nice, and it makes me feel like I have more responsibilities, and I feel organized and enlightened by that.
Hello, my name is Denise, and I am a marketing youth apprenticeship, and I'm lucky to be working with any platform, which I know many of you guys know. As a marketing youth apprentice, I do a lot of social media work, a lot of community engagement, and just really be a part of a lot of community-wide events like Kids Expo or even like the Rotors Breakfast a couple weeks ago. I'm really fortunate to have this platform to really include me in a lot of projects and a lot of meetings, and definitely learn things I've never known before, and just kind of see behind the scenes of a lot of district-wide work. So as a marketing, I really enjoy just kind of getting that hands-on experience of what marketing is like in the group.
Hi, I'm Colin Norland. I'm a youth apprentice at Warrior Media through Waunakee High School. I've worked at Warrior Media for 2 years as a broadcast technician and also a creative arts and graphic design, student and teacher. This year I've taken my role as more teaching the other students in our program how to use the technology that we do to make our live streams and broadcasts for the sports at Waunakee run. I've also been teaching photography to new students, as well as getting new experience in the field. I did some MLB work and some, political rally stuff, photography-wise. And if I didn't have the skills and experience from Warrior Media and being able to work in a positive and uplifting environment where I feel supported by my mentors, I wouldn't have been able to take the initiative to push myself out there to get these also more professional grade experiences. I'll be going to Rochester Institute of Technology next year for photojournalism, and then also pursuing a co-op program with hopefully a wire service. So, yeah, thank you.
I'm Cole Kleinsteiger, and I work at Enders Manufacturing. And so that's right here in Waunakee, right to the high school, so it's really easy for me to go over there during work release. And since a kid, I've always loved engineering, building things hands-on. I was a part of Skills USA with those guys over there. And I loved it over there with Skills USA, and that's kind of what brought me from being at Skills USA to go into the engineering field. So at Enders, I'm a steel detailer. So I deal with contractors and architects like Findorf and like Myron and all these big contractors, and communicate with them and 3D model all the architect designs that they have and tell the shop how to produce it, make it. Everything's to the key by 1/64 of an inch. It's down to every inch there, and everything is produced from Enders is like key, like. But so Enders has brought me to I know the school working on different projects. I worked on the innovation center that we went to the high school last year with the staircases and all the designs there. Working on the new heritage out by the intermediate school, seeing that come to life, and then also the new middle school at the high school, seeing the papers come to life and being built and all not come from the paper, so 3D model and see the process of how things are made, and just building connections with these contractors, and at Enders having a family of us detailers, and in the shop nobody's afraid to talk to anybody, and just having a good connection with everybody. It just kind of brought me into that engineering field that I've always just wanted to pursue.
Hi, my name is Paige Wilcox. I work in cosmetology and marketing at Rejuvenation Spa over in Middleton. I just got offered this opportunity earlier in October. I can't even express how many opportunities this job has given me. I work a few different things. I work with social media marketing. I work directly in the salon helping stylists meet new clients, interviews. And then I also mainly work at the front desk with the computer, checking clients in and out, just all of that stuff. Like I said, it's brought me more connections than I could have ever imagined. It's really opened my eyes to how many opportunities I have for my future, and with cosmetology and marketing mixed together, it's just shown me how much I really have a passion for all this stuff and helping people and making people feel good about themselves, and just, yeah, I can't thank Ms. Midland enough and the whole entire school board for bringing these opportunities for kids, and I'm a complete advocate for the Youth Apprentice, and I'm so glad that it's becoming a bigger thing now, so, yeah.
Well, like, this is 10 or 11 voices out of 72, so I'm tearing, like, listening to this, because I wish I would have had these opportunities in high school, and what these students are doing. I also want you to keep in mind, they're balancing that work. They have to work 450 hours a year. Many of them are working way above that, but then they're also in academics. A lot of these students are in AP classes and other rigorous courses. They're in sports. They have social lives. They have families. They have church. They have all of these community activities, and so they are finding a way to balance all of that. Sometimes I can't even get things straight in my office with sticky notes. Like, I'm just like thinking about what they have to balance at their age, and I'm in awe and inspired by them too. So I hope that all of you are as well, and continue supporting this program, because it's pretty amazing. So,
Absolutely, and I am so impressed at how articulate they all were. I mean, you sound, I mean, you could run companies. I mean, you have those skills, so I just appreciate everything that you bring to the program and all that you've gotten from the program. It's amazing. Thank you.
Yes. Wow, it was amazing. Michelle, thank you for your leadership. Without leadership, we couldn't have what we have with our students. So students, before you leave today, and for parents that are in the room with us today, we thank you for coming. Before you leave, we would love to share a token of our appreciation for your hard work. Many of you all can work at central office, you know, retiring down here. Just a wider range and a plethora of skills that you all can bring to the table. So we're proud of each and every one of you. And so I have a certificate for each and every one of you. So Logan Burns and Cole Gasho. You see, I have phonetically have it right. Dominic Prosty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mila Bryant.
Thank you.
Tracy Michael. You're welcome. Denise Espirito Santos Diaz. Thank you. You're welcome. Colin Morgan. Thank you. Welcome. Cole Steinsteiber. Steinberg, thank you. Steinberg, thank you. We appreciate that. And Peggy Wilcox. Thank you all so much. Never forget about education, central office. Schools will always be around. If you ever want to come this way, we appreciate it. Good to see you in the class.
thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you. So we have the joy tonight of having 2 Warrior Spotlights as we end the year. So do you want to introduce our second group?
Yes, we have our Skills USA team. So if you all want to come to the table, we can move some chairs out the way. Thank you all for joining us this evening.
Yes, thank you.
Happy to have you. Take it away.
Hi, thanks for having us. Thanks for inviting us to this. I heard earlier today is really nice when middle school can come and present at something like this, so I do appreciate you having us today. My name is Dave Berger. I'm the Skills USA advisor for the middle school. We do have a high school program as well. This is a student-led organization with an advisor. So my main job is to set up meetings and set up times for students to participate in Skills USA. I'm going to let these guys talk about what Skills USA is. It's been a fantastic year again, and I really appreciate all the hard work that these guys have done this year. and I don't want to take anything away from them. They did such a wonderful job and made this presentation. And I'm just going to let them speak about what Skills USA and what it is to them.
All right, thank you for letting us come here today again. So first off, Skills USA is the #1 workforce development organization for students around the world. It is a competition-based organization where you prepare for a competition, you go to the competition, you place, and if you place well enough, usually first place for some competitions, you get to go on to other competitions that are bigger and more important, and usually like national ones like down in Atlanta. So Skills USA is a very great opportunity for students to get better at really anything in the workforce, usually with trades and stuff. And our chapter for Waunakee Middle School has gone to nationals in Atlanta 3 times, and we have won all 3 times. So that is pretty good achievement. So, as you can see in the top left, that is our entire group. Sadly, some of us could not make it today, but that is as it says, a beautiful group photo. And then in the preceding photos, those are all from the regional competition, which is our second of 4 competitions. And we placed second and I think twice. So that was a pretty good competition for Waunakee. I'm not sure who won that one, but it is usually with every person in a few counties, so like Dane County and the surrounding ones. So that was in, I forget where it was.
Watertown.
Oh yeah, it was in Watertown, so.
By participating in Skills USA, we are challenging ourselves to go above and beyond for our competitions, so we have a greater chance to succeed. And greater learning experiences from our contests. The experience is great for our future careers and strengthens us for the next generation of skilled workers.
At Skills USA, we spend our meetings working for our next competitions, and there's many competitions in Skills USA, including team engineering, woodworking, CNC carpentry. There are more than 115 competitions. In some meetings, we focus on different topics like fundraising, preparing for the next competition, and planning for events like this one. And sometimes we also do donuts. How does this help our community? By participating in Skills USA, we can learn important skills for future careers that will help our community's workforce. And some competitions even help the community now, like we have community service, American Spirit, and chapter displays, which help to show our chapter and what we've accomplished in Skills USA. And finally, whenever we come home with a victory chapter, often we improve the morale of our school district, and we encourage other students to join our group and learn more about things that they can use for their future work and jobs.
So right there, we have pictures from the 2025 State Leadership Conference in the Alliant Energy Center in Madison. So on the far left, you can see me and my teammate Darren Lynn. He was not able to make it today, and we placed first in the state competition, so we will be going to nationals in Atlanta, Georgia, with also Kai, my other teammate, who was not able to make it to the state competition. Then we also have Nicholas in the top middle, and just more pictures on the right of the leaderboards. So it was a pretty good state conference for us.
And Nicholas took first place in the CO2 cart competition. Nicholas, you want to talk about state a little bit.
Okay. In state, there's lots of different competitions that you're allowed to go around and see other people working. And here you can see there's woodworking, there's a drum room in the top left. Then there's ones where you fix cars and boats. And there's welding and different competitions.
Yeah, there's robotics up there. The art welding is the bottom right corner. Colin Lansing is a high school student. He was in that picture right next to the art medals on the right side bottom. So he's in a cabinet competition. And then there's construction competitions also for high school, and robotics as well. Like I said earlier, there's 115 different competitions. Nicholas, what other competitions were you in besides?
I was in 3D printing and design, which I placed first in. And that one was more difficult because you have to do more stuff at home and you have to detail how the design process and like your ideas and stuff. And very notebook.
So this kind of just talks about like nationals, this slide. The National Leadership Competition is a great and exciting opportunity and a rewarding experience. It takes hard work and tremendous amounts of effort to go and win nationals. By winning 3 times, we have proven that Skills USA is a hardworking, determined, and educated group that will continue on for years. In fact, we're going to nationals again this year in June, and then those photos are from 2022 and 2023.
So those are just some past competition photos of the stuff that you can do there. So in the top right, you can see going out to restaurants, having fun with your advisors and your teammates. That was probably very fun. In the other 3 photos, you can see during the competitions, it's a very huge competition, a ton of people, a ton of judges, a ton of officials. Overall, a ton of organizing, and it is super well run. We haven't really had a single problem with it, and I've been doing this for 3 years, so it's pretty good. Thank you all for listening, and do you guys have any questions?
Great job.
Great job.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Love the professional look. Yes. Before you all leave, we also
Thank you
have
very
a
much.
token of our appreciation for each of you coming this evening. So I will start out with Mateus Yang. Nicholas Yang. Will May. Sean Gravel. Eric Stevenson.
Also.
All right, Colin Marilla.
Right here.
Thank you. And then Kai Samantha.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Terrence, thank you for coming to me. I'll give you the other.
Again, I'm hoping that I get the whole agenda in at some point, but I'd like to have our staff report, because I know you want to get to the concert too.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, that didn't, that.
Thank you.
But please, Molly, right?
Yeah, I'm Molly Swanhorst. I'm here on behalf of the WTA just to give our update. We just had our leadership meeting earlier today. Some of the kind of things that we wanted to address briefly were just around the turnaround time for the health insurance decisions that recently came about with the closing of open enrollment. We were worried that it was a little bit tight, and we're really looking forward to next year collaborating a little bit more closely with HR on some ideas we have about how to help that turnaround time feel a little bit more accessible and run a little bit smoother, just on helping employees understand what's on offer around the time of open enrollment. We also know that special education caseloads are growing, and we really appreciate the efforts that you all are making to plan for the future with regard to staffing and funding those really vital services for some of our students in our district. We have a lot to celebrate from this month's leadership too. We really appreciated our teacher appreciation cooler bags. We were all talking about how handy they are, and we're so excited to have another way to pack a luncheon with us or something like that. We're also really excited that tomorrow we're going to be announcing the WTA Scholarship Award winner at the Senior Scholarship Night. I guess that's not tomorrow, that's Wednesday. And we also just announced our Friend of Education Award. The Daughters of the American Revolution earned that award for the work I believe that they've been doing with the intermediate and middle school students. We also wanted to kind of publicly state for the record a thank you to our outgoing building representatives. We just had our leadership team elections this last week, and so we are thanking those who've served us for their service to our colleagues and public education as a whole. But we also just re-elected our whole executive board, so you'll be hearing lots more from the same crew of people who've been kind of in charge of the WTA's leadership efforts. And we have a completely full roster of building representatives right after our election. So every position is filled, which is really exciting. And everyone's so just ready to jump in next year with continuing our wonderful partnership with the board. And that includes continuing our awesome collaboration through our negotiations and the meet and confer topics. We appreciate how smoothly all of that went, and how just y'all's efforts to really work with us on what's best for our staff have just been so wonderful this past year. So thank you so much, and I appreciate the opportunity to celebrate what the WTA's been looking forward to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you as well.
Okay, so now we're kind of up at the top of the agenda, and we have Friend of Community. I had the opportunity about a week and a half ago, Sunday anyway, to attend at Rex's Innkeeper with Dr. Brown and Steve and Annie were there, and they are coming. They have awarded many people in our district, and they're coming to make a formal announcement of all the people behind the scenes that they wanted to celebrate. So thank you.
Perfect, thank you for having us. Wow, what an impressive group of kids. I'm so glad we were here to take part in that. I'm Sue McDade, Community Services Director for the Village of Waunakee. We want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Each year, our department participates in the Community Award Banquet, and we offer an award called the Friend of the Community. And we pick someone each year, just us. We sit down in a conference room and say, who's been good to us this year? And we have awarded this award to many deserving folks. This year, there was really no conversation. Every single person in the room said, the school district. And so we are here tonight to thank you for your support. It starts with the school board. Thank you so much for allowing all of your team to be our partners in the programs and activities that we bring to our community. Superintendent of Schools, thank you so much for being here and supporting what we do. And you are all very important. What we also want to say is the people that are the shoes in the hallways that are helping us on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to send it down the line here.
Perfect. Jeff Stone from the Village Center as well. There's a couple of people I just want to start with. Obviously, Annie Blackburn, who set this up for us tonight, she's very helpful in communicating our programs with the students in the school district and working with us on different things that come up. Good sounding board for us. She's also been a huge part of the Wake event the last couple of years. The Waunakee Area Kids Expo, we've hosted for 5 or 6 years now. And Annie's been a good partner with us the last couple of years, getting the school district involved with that and getting the word out, communicating those type of things. As Sue had said, also the day-to-day facility and grounds crew are just amazing. We do basketball in the schools, we do softball in the softball fields. As you know, we work together on those things. Ben Steger and the grounds crew are just amazing. We're working with them all summer on getting our fields ready. Some softball coaches, right, Chris, that appreciate that as well.
100%.
All the work that Ben does and makes that work for us. And then all the school staff too. You know, we use the gyms for basketball. They come in and they'll put the bleachers out for us, put the bleachers back in, put the baskets down, put the baskets back up, and work around all those crazy requests we have. John and his staff at Heritage have been awesome with us for basketball. Dale and Mark over there as well. Bob Holman and his crew at Arboretum, they're just great partners as well on the basketball program and things we do. Next.
I'm Courtney. I'm one of the recreation coordinators at the Village Center.
I also just want to thank some of the same kind of facility and grounds crew, Dean and the facility team at Prairie. They help with our adult volleyball program, which we just took over this year, as well as youth basketball. Christina and the facility team at the intermediate school, as well as Ron Esser and the facility team at the middle school for their support of the adult basketball programs that we do there, both men and women's. The intermediate school team, there's a number of individuals there, but Principal Tim Momards, Danielle with the front office, and the LMTC staff for their support of our youth chess program that we run in the library there. And then Nick Conrad. And the athletic department staff for their continued collaboration and scheduling spaces for our athletic programs, with a special thank you to Jen Lockman for her unwavering dedication and support for us, and just being an ear for us to call and talk to and deal with all of our crazy questions. So we love that.
Our next shout out goes to the Student Services Department. We not only offer all these things and appreciate all the work that everybody does to make these things happen, but we need people to make these things happen. And so Lisa Jondal and the social workers and her whole team do a great job helping us get those kids available for our programs. So specifically, we've got Jonathan Wild, and we've got Mona Jean Harley and Mackenzie Lutz, who've been super helpful bringing the kids to us and bringing the families as well. And they go beyond that, not just giving us names, but they give us pointers and suggestions how we can set these students up for success in our programs, and that is something we are truly thankful for. So thank you for everything.
Perfect. And it's also the Steve Summers thank you night. We also want to a huge thank you and shout out to Steve and the entire team who wrapped us into the Student Scholarship Program that you have and you so graciously share with our department to share with the families in our community. That has made a difference that is immeasurable. To talk to kids and moms who say, you mean I can actually play volleyball? You mean I actually can take that ice skating lesson? And to have that touch has been so wonderful, and we thank you so much for allowing our department to be part of that program. And Steve, thank you for calling and bringing us in and saying that you would share that with us. We very much appreciate it. So again, thank you. Thank you from the top, thank you the bottom. Many, many communities do not have the kind of partnership that we have between the Community Recreation Department and the school district, and we very much value that, so thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Did bring the plaque, so just wanted the community to see the plaque that our district was awarded a couple Sundays ago. So thank you all for coming this evening.
Thank you.
Great job, Jeff.
Thank you. What a wonderful night of celebrations. I think we have done all of our guests. I think, in my mind, we are down to board report. If there's any board members that have done anything in the last month that they'd like to share, now's the time.
Well, a bunch of us were at the WASB new board member orientation, and I just appreciate Bob Butler and Bob Green for giving a little bit of an introduction to our new board members. There's a lot to assimilate, but WASB does a great job of trying to help our board members grow, and so it was. I appreciate the board members that were there with us taking the time to make that.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to see your good man, Charlie Brown. That was really a fun musical. I know that you had mentioned in your report that you got to see that, Dr. Brown. Again, we have such talent in our music and our students and our directors and our lighting and the whole production was just so well done and so professionally done. So it was a real joy to be able to see that. So anything else that people would like to share about the last month? It's been a busy month, a lot of meetings, a lot of kind of resettling and organizing. which brings us to a couple other details in the kind of reorganization. We have the CISA 2 Delegate Convention, which Dawn is going to be able to attend, right?
Correct.
June 17th at 7 o'clock. The convention delegate information is in there. If you have any questions on that, I know I've attended a couple times if you want to reach out. The other thing that we have done in the past month is reorganize our board with our new board members and all of our committees, which is in board book, so you're welcome to look at those committee assignments. They have been distributed to the board members, and I appreciate that you have all kind of tuned in to the doodle polls that Rebecca has gotten into. It really helps our meeting night to kind of have a glimpse in you know, what she does behind the scenes, so that when we get to setting meetings, she's done a lot of the legwork and we know when people are available. So all of that's in our board book. Anybody want to make any comments, questions? I appreciate people kind of teaming up at the table. You know, please, anybody, whether you're new or experienced, if there's anything that's going on here that you're not quite sure of or understanding, please feel free to ask it. You know, it can be as casual as we need it to be, so that we're all ready to do what we need to do when it's time to vote. So, anyway, moving on, I think we're ready for committee reports,
Okay,
starting with budget.
budget's first, and I'm going to turn it over to, I was going to turn it to Ally, I'll turn it over to, are you going to do the planning for 25, 26?
Yeah,
Great, thank you.
Not as excited as the students.
Steve's already shined enough tonight, Ally.
Yeah, that's right.
I did go over the entire first draft of the budget at the committee meeting. I would be happy to answer any questions that anybody has. There were two things I wanted to point out that have changed since the committee meeting, however. The first item was administrative assistant help for Michelle McGlynn, who you saw here tonight in the program that's been growing. So that was in there. She had a budget in there as well as a job description for what that person would be doing. And that comes from the dissolution of the program through Monona Grove that you guys approved at the end of March.
Right.
And then the other item was there was one change on the student fee sheet. There was a fee that was listed for middle school but was missed for intermediate and high school, and that was the large instrument fee. So those were the only changes since the committee meeting.
And I'll just add for the board members, just a reminder, we're in a state budget year. So the document includes a number of estimates. So Ally did go through those estimates with the budget committee at the meeting last week to basically share with the budget committee members what we were estimating throughout the document. So it should definitely be viewed as a draft. We will continue to monitor the state budget as it proceeds through the process. In particular, we're keeping our eye on the special education funding level, which is receiving quite a bit of discussion right now at the state level, and the per student increase. There's been a lot of discussion about the per student increase in school budgets and the possibility of connecting that dollar amount to inflation. So we will see how that goes through the next couple of months. But just keep in mind that this entire document is really based on estimates, and we will just continue to monitor the process that's taking place at the state capitol.
So the first draft of the budget was approved 3-0, but do you want to do a motion on approving that now, or should we take the some of the fees as one?
If you want to do it all as one. you can do
Okay.
that.
Is everybody okay if we do the whole
I'm okay.
budget? Okay, so let's move on to some of the student fees and facility fees.
As I mentioned, there was just the 2 changes to the student fees. And then for facility use fees, I mentioned at the committee meeting that the only changes this year were a couple increases to some facility use fees, and Nick had included background information for those increases. And then they also added a senior discounted rate for a pass to the pool on the aquatic center. But those were the changes for this school year.
Okay, so if possible, could I have a motion for the first draft of the budget, student fees, and the facility use fees?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on anything in those items? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Okay, so we pass those. Moving on to a review of Fund 10.
If you want me to go through all those were just the different funds for the budget, first draft of the budget.
Anybody have any questions on, Ally's here, Steve's here, if anybody wants to ask? Any of the funds, 27, 50, 80? Okay, so I think we're moving on to Facility Committee. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Facility Committee, Steve, do you mind if I turn that over to you?
Sure, thank you, Joan. So there's a couple of items that we're looking for action on tonight. So we did present, first of all, the committee with an update on the middle school. So we do that on each of our monthly meetings for the facility committee. So we did share information on the middle school. We did mention to the committee that we were requesting to meet in June to review the outdoor spaces at the new middle school, specifically the track, as well as the possibility of doing fencing work at the site and a possible construction of the shed. So we did review that. One of the other items we spent quite a bit of time on was talking through the capital maintenance tracking document. And for new board members, that's a document that we've been creating since the very beginning of the November 2022 referendum. So it tracks all of the projects that have been approved by the board from the very onset of the project. The top part of that document does include information on the funds that are available for capital maintenance projects. And so you're certainly welcome to take a look at that information that we do share again every time the facility committee meets. The facility committee did take a look at a couple of requests, and the first one was in the area of specifically branding projects. And for just a little background, for a number of years now, the board has been approving capital projects investments to align with the branding work that took place in the district. As an example, some of the visuals would be the entrance on Community Drive, and on the other side of the high school, those signs were replaced and are relatively new as a part of this process. Last month at the facility committee, the committee requested, because there was quite a few items on the agenda, to bring that list back for this month. So we did bring the list back to this month. You would see it under the item called branding projects. There's a file called remaining branding, and then there's a second file that includes some additional information about the effort that's been made in this area. The committee recommendation is included in the notes. There was a recommendation for an approval on a 3-0 vote with the request to repurpose older wrestling mats. Scott Bauer from our maintenance team has been working with Annie to capture information for you on, Dr. Brown's holding it up. There's in your packet is additional information on the wrestling mats, so we're continuing to follow up on the wrestling mats to see what could be done in the space of repurposing them if possible. So we did update the inventory so that you could see what we have in that area. But the recommendation was 3-0 to move that forward for consideration this evening. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in
So,
favor?
with what's allocated for math, that would cover everything that's on this list?
That's my understanding.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of maths for that
Yeah.
money, yeah. Any other questions, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so the next agenda item is it's a small list this month of district-wide capital maintenance projects. So at our previous board meeting in April, we had a much larger list of projects that we were bringing forward for the summer. The tracking document that I mentioned is listed under this agenda item for those who would like to take a look at it. And then there's the other file called May 2025 Capital Projects. That does have a small list of projects that we are requesting to move forward this month. The committee did review those at the meeting last week and did recommend approval of the attached projects. And so we're requesting consideration of those projects this evening from the full board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Anybody have? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. That's the end of our facility. Moving on to our HR committee. Brian, or
Yeah.
Don, you actually chaired it, if you want to
I'll let Brian.
pass it over.
He had the hands.
So eager, right? So, just for the new board members' information, the reason that this is a separate item than other parts of the wage increases is that this by Act 10 law is a required separate negotiation. So this would be a base wage increase for our teachers union, our unionized group of employees. And as you know, it was a very, very quick negotiations. We offered what the maximum CPI increase would be, 2.95%, which matched what they requested. And so it would require your action if you support finalizing that agreement.
And the Teacher Association has accepted it and finalized it on their part, so it is up for us to do that tonight.
Motion to approve. A second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, now the rest of them.
Yeah, so this is a lot of information on the sheet, the summary sheet, but I'll highlight it in that to follow up on what I just said for teachers. The other part of compensation for our unionized teachers group is called supplemental wages, and that would be the operation of our compensation system, which includes money for experience and professional development, and every fifth year, a chance to redeem, take a double jump of points redemption. And then as the spreadsheet breaks it out, our admin support and administrators would be a base wage increase of 2.95%, with the catch-up pay relating to the board goal of keeping us at or above average compared to our Dane County peers. If a member of the administrative or administrative support group is below average after they've been in their position for 3 years with us, we catch them up to what their peer position average would be. And so that is included in there. In addition, the board we took the action of hiring for a co-principal next year at Heritage, as opposed to maintaining the current principal and associate principal structure to help with the transition to get the school year off to a good start. So that comes with an increased cost. And then if we slide into the hourly employee groups, they were broken out by the 3 classified staff, administrative assistants, and custodial maintenance. Every one of those has a salary structure. Each box in that structure is where an individual is at for wages. All of those boxes are going to go up 2.95%, and then also they advance based on their hire, either on July 1st, or January 1st. And so that all of that information is explained on that Google sheet, and so I'd be happy to answer any questions you would have about those items.
It's a lot of stuff, so please ask if you have any questions.
Motion to approve?
So we are approving the
Base wage increases for the.
hourly as well as the teacher, kind of the
Supplement,
professional.
yeah, supplemental, yeah.
So we have both those items.
And admin support.
And Mark seconded it.
So we have a first and a second. And if there aren't any other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Okay. Thank you, Brian, for getting that all settled before the end of the year. That's
Yeah, I mean, that is something that we've gotten consistent feedback that employees really want to, prefer to see that going into the summer, so that those that are school year employees know what their future holds. And, you know, that is the majority of our employees are school year employees in the school district, whether they're hourly or salary. The next item for your consideration is specifically separated because this relates to the operational referendum fund, which had $1 million defined or assigned over 2 years to provide wage increases beyond typical, which is what you already took care of, to try to raise these hourly employee groups to the average of our peers. And so, if you could maybe open that, the second one, the hourly thank you. So what this shows you is what we discussed at committee, which is 3 proposals. And the proposal that the committee advanced, which coincided with the administrative recommendation, is proposal number 1. And that is the movement of all employees in the custodial maintenance group by an additional step. And for classified employees, which would be listed, again, the types of what those positions are listed underneath the bolded titles. That would be classified staff moving 2 steps and administrative assistants moving 2 additional steps. The significance of this is that, again, $566,000 is greater than $500,000. And so that is something that certainly Steve or Ally could speak to about how that would work over the course of 2 years. But this would be essentially dipping into next year's $500,000 a bit earlier. And the reason why we did make it an administrative recommendation, and I advocated for that, is that these are whole step movements. It's be easier to communicate clearly to employees. And actually, this has happened. We have done steps removals for all of these different groups over the past 4 years at different times to try to move us more quickly. This will move us more aggressively than we've gone before. And the prior sheet that we didn't look at that was available for your review gives you a sense of how far off we are from our peers. And so this will get us closer, I think, I believe significantly closer to where we'll be in a position to finish this work, if you would, of getting to where we want to be positioned at the next school year. And so the reason, again, though, it does dip into those funds a little bit is because the other options, as you know, are either less aggressive in terms of what areas of need are, or are partial steps, which, to be frank, will be challenging to communicate to employees to get them to really see and feel that, because this is good news and something to be celebrated, and we want to be able to clearly help them celebrate and see it.
Brian, could you explain why the custodial group is only 1 step compared to the other groups? I think the new board members would be helpful to hear that.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. As I mentioned before, we have done this particular type of a move before. When we came out of the COVID experience, it was exceptionally challenging to hire and find custodians. And we were in a really dire spot in terms of the need of hiring. And at that time, our custodial maintenance group was the farthest group we had away from average. And so the board, again with an administrative recommendation, we took some of these steps and we moved them multiple steps in a year, actually sequentially. We made a move in the summer, struggled to get hired, positions hired, and actually made a move shortly into the next school year to do that, a kind of an off-cycle raise, if you would. And so that has resulted in our custodial maintenance group being the closest of the hourly groups to our peers. And so the reason why one step suits that is that as you looked at that other handout, it talked about how far off they were. They're the closest. And also, like, if we were talking about $1 to split among the employee groups, they should get the smallest portion of that split. And that's why the kind of what we're proposing here does that.
How has the peer amounts changed over this time that we're adjusting? Have they, they can't stay constant anymore?
Yeah, and it's everyone's moving, right? Wages don't remain static.
Right.
What we have seen is that generally, right, the CPI indicator that's put out by the state is aspirational for probably every one of our peer districts. They're doing everything they can to get to that number. They also are doing studies of the job market, if you would, and targeting particular employee groups, perhaps based on the job market or based on their need. So that's a long answer to say everybody's advancing their wages forward. And we have, over time, we have been incrementally coming closer to where we want to be. But, it's like you're chasing someone that you're just not quite as fast, or, they're moving, but you're maybe a little bit faster, but they have a big lead. And it is fair to say that our peers had a very comfortable lead in compensation for quite a number of years. And we have recognized that, and we've been responsibly trying to move it faster. The referendum now gives us a chance to move quicker, right, and close that gap more aggressively.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that separately, or was that?
Yeah, please.
done? So we're just voting on the operational referendum now. So I would need a motion to advance those employee groups by that amount.
Make a motion to do that.
Second?
Anybody have any questions, what we're doing? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you, Brian, for all of that.
Now is the best part, right? We sit down and we get to read through the handbooks together. And this is not, this is.
And we do a round robin, right?
Yeah, we do, yeah, partner, no, and so, what I have here for you, is the full handbooks in links 2, 3, and 4, or excuse me, 1, 2, and 3, and number 4 is a summary of the changes. The changes of substance, right, not edits for spelling or formatting, those kinds of things. And so for purposes of efficiency, I guess I will absolutely take any questions that you have, if you have, about the summary document or any particular handbook, if there was an aspect in there.
I would just like to say something, primarily for the newer members of our board. When the union was kind of abolished in 2010, our contract really kind of fed into a teacher handbook. And since that time, there's been complete collaboration between the teachers in particular and our HR department. And every year, that handbook for language and for the financial components in there, they meet 2 to 3, 4 times a year, and they go through. So this has been a very collaborative thing. I have been sitting on that committee as this has evolved. So, it sits here in its entirety, but there's a ton of work and collaboration that goes into this handbook by our staff when that negotiation kind of ended many years ago. Anyway, I just wanted to.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I think that's really important. And I think the other part that is important is that we have worked diligently over the last handful of years to try to make our handbooks uniform. In that each of, all three general employee groups, if you would, have very similar language, expectations, and, in many cases, if the benefits are uniform, trying to keep that language uniform. There are obviously some differences that are, significant, but those at this time have really become purposeful as opposed to, coincidental. And so while they are evolving, and they're not, they change every year, some years more than others, it has been collaboration and attention to it with a lot of people that have got us to where we're at. And so that is important to know. Thank you.
All right, so now to the summary. If anybody has
Yeah,
any questions?
I'd take any questions that anyone would have about any of them.
If not, we do need to do kind of an advancement of these on a yearly basis, and they have been reviewed, and so I would take a motion.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay, so all of them are being approved, yes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Perfect, thank you. We are down to curriculum committee meeting.
Okay, we have a lot of things tonight. No, actually not too many. One I would like to say, we had a very vibrant meeting. We had the instructional tech support people in, and they gave a wonderful presentation. And you might remember last fall, we had an AI at the curriculum presentations, but I'm going to work with Tim to see if we can bring them back for presentations next year if possible, because this is a whole nother aspect and was really, really helpful. I'm going to turn over the textbook and curriculum writing proposals to Tim, but I do want to acknowledge that both the curriculum and the textbook totals were significantly less than last year. And so I think we're getting a good product, and thank you for making that happen.
Thank you, Mark. And, I will say, even though our curriculum projects are at a lower level than last year, they're still a bit elevated over baseline. A lot of that is attributable to some of the new curriculum adoptions that we have, plus second year of adjustment to the new middle school schedule. So we expect a little more retracement next year. Again, these have gone through our typical review processes. Of note in textbook adoption requests are some new resources for middle school mathematics, intermediate school mathematics, and intermediate school English language arts, we're very excited about. And we're looking forward to these. We're going to have training for our teachers actually a week from today at our last staff development day of the year. And we'll bring back trainers again for training in August. We're really excited about some of the things that are up for adoption. Amy and I are available for questions if you have them on any of the specific topics.
So we could take it together, both the curriculum projects as well as the textbook, or if people would prefer, we can take them separate. Anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve both the textbook adoptions as well as the project requests.
Second.
Second. Anybody have any questions on either of those items? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. So administrative reports, announcements, do you have anything for the good of the cause, Dr. Brown?
No announcements.
Okay, so we are down to consent agenda. And I know you would like to pull out the
26-27 instructional calendar.
for further kind of consideration and information.
Yes.
And there is a transportation handbook in there. We can take it off. I would like to acknowledge the 2 scholarships that are in here. We don't have the winners of those scholarships, but the families who have been donating to those scholarships and keep that money available for our students, both the Cooper Trust Fund and the Ted and Jan Tweed scholarships, which will again be awarded, I think, Wednesday night. So I want to honor those people and thank them for those scholarships. So, other than the calendar, which we're pulling out, I would take a motion for the whole.
I have one
Please.
really specific question
Okay.
about the K-6 Family Student Handbook.
Okay.
And it's a silly question, but something I wanted an answer to, which is on page 9, the birthday celebration and kids not being able to bring in something to celebrate their birthday. Just wondering why that change is being made.
Amy will come up. I will start out by sharing with you, upon my arrival last year here in the district, I had a conversation with nurse and nurse's aide at the at Prairie, and the discussion centered around the number and needs of our students who are coming to our district on a daily basis with a series of allergies to peanuts, but you name it. Our allergies do exist in our buildings, nationwide, district-wide, probably nationwide, but district-wide. And so that's where the initial conversation started. I shared with them in my previous district for that. And so it makes it harder for our nurses to be able to keep up and chase our students who might have these specific allergies when treats are being brought into our buildings, sometimes on a daily basis. It depends on how many birthdays fall on a day or fall in a month. And so the principals and APs having to navigate that, number one, in terms of the treats coming to the front office with the administrative assistant. We have to get it to the right place. But more importantly, it was around the health issues that our children are coming to school with. And so we wanted to put a system in place around that to alleviate or eliminate any, we don't want to leave any stone unturned, but we want to make sure that our kids can participate in these celebrations. However, we can be responsive to any allergies or any health issues that might arise. And the reality is when these treats come to our buildings, what the, what do you call it, on the, the label, thank you, Amy, whatever the label says is not necessarily the case all the time in terms of what's coming. So we thought, they approached me and asked, and then Amy had conversations with the buildings, and so we think this is the best way to move forward with continuing to celebrate our students, certainly celebrate them. However, eliminate the idea of our nurses being able to, or trying to chase this down based on the label that's on the product. When the label could be accurate, it may not be accurate. So that was just a way to systematize the celebrations, make sure we continue to celebrate our children, but being mindful of the increase that we're seeing in terms of allergies and what our kids can and cannot eat. Trying to chase that is becoming more and more of a challenge as we move forward.
So how does it explain the trinkets?
Yeah, the non-food items is also included.
So the idea at Prairie today, you can speak to this a little bit more, Amy, if you want. But at the Prairie today, I was over there, and Dean's, in each building will probably do something different. Amy, you'll have to speak to that more than I can. But they are doing book giveaways for the students at Prairie, and so that's one approach to eliminating, the food item. That's a non-food item. If you will. I suspect every building will do something different, and I'm not sure if they've laid out every aspect of that yet. But if you want to speak to that, Amy, that'd be great.
When we talked about it
they didn't have a lot of examples of kids bringing in trinkets, and we just thought it would be cleaner if we just eliminated that aspect of kids bringing things in and navigating that in the classroom. And then, as Dr. Brown said, still recognizing their birthdays in a variety of ways, the announcements, the birthday book, certificates, things like that.
Thank you. Does that help?
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Any other clarifications? I know the open enrollment information is there. If not, I would take a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Let's talk about the instructional account. You want to do it?
I want to do the whole packet, and then we'll do that separate.
Okay.
So everything.
So what's separate?
The calendar is separate, so I would like a motion for everything except the calendar. We're gonna-
A motion to do so.
All right. Mark's got a motion? Second?
I will pass on the voting.
Okay. On everything, or do you?
Well, open enrollment, I have a conflict.
Do you want to just pull that out and we can vote on it?
Could we do that? I'm
Sure.
sorry. So
Let's do that.
can I amend the motion to approve everything but the calendar and open enrollment?
Perfect. And you'll second that amendment, so our other one is gone. So we are passing everything except the open enrollment and the calendar. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Perfect.
And motion to approve the open enrollment.
Second.
And now you're going to refrain on
Abstain.
that. So all in favor of the open enrollment, say aye.
Aye.
And Mark is,
Abstaining.
yeah, abstaining from that. And now I will let Dr. Brown talk about the new calendar, because there are some changes.
Yes, there are. So we had a series of meetings to discuss the 26-27 calendar. So what we, the premise behind the new behind the 26-27 instructional calendar is looking for additional professional development or collaboration days for our teachers in the 26-27 school year. What we know is when that additional time is granted, it provides opportunities to continue to allow our teachers to improve their teacher practice. It includes additional time for more time for teacher collaboration, leads to better instruction. I mean, we all know our focus every day is on improved student outcomes with this particular calendar. So I'll just go through the changes with you really quick. Well, not really quick, but we've added virtual days to the calendar for our students in order to offset the staff development days, additional staff development days we would like for our student, or for our teachers. If you recall, the year before last, what was made, so I'm gonna move back to November. The year before last, my understanding that there were staff development days in the week of Thanksgiving, leading up to the Thanksgiving break. And so what I understand is our teachers received that very well in that year. And so that is a piece of the 26-27 calendar we would like to revisit. So two PD days in November, making it a full Thanksgiving week with then no school for the rest of the week. December, there will be no change. January will be a day off. The difference, however, is we want to maximize our virtual learning experience for our 7 through 12 students. So our K-6 students will be off. Our high school, our 7 through 12 students will have a virtual day. And teachers will have this entire, so one of the concerns was around teachers having enough time to be able to plan for 26-27 for those virtual days, especially at the high school, given the block, and planning for that and making sure students receive an equal amount of instruction in both of those semesters. And so 7-12 will have a virtual learning day in January, same for February. March, there's no change. April, there will be a virtual learning day. May, no change. June, no change. So again, the idea here is additional professional development time for our teachers to, again, collaborate. Professional development, we may bring someone in for professional development. I will give you, for example, our high school this year is one of their themes is focusing on differentiating instruction. That's this year. In 26, 27, they will have more time to be able to collaborate and hone in on their skills for that. And so that's where we are with the 26, 27 calendar. I've heard from teachers since I've, when I was in the classroom, teachers need more time, we need more time. And so we do want to make sure we consider this time. We're asking for your consideration to maximize this time for improved teacher outcomes for students.
Mark, question.
So Dr. Brown, with the virtual only being for 7-12, does the school year extend longer for all of our students?
No.
For what about our K-6 in the minutes?
So the K-6 has enough instructional minutes in the school year where they're not impacted by
Okay.
this. So did it require us to extend the school year further out? No. Our initial conversation centered around working within the same parameters as our instructional calendar, but figuring out how to make those adjustments for more time for PD. So no, there will be no, I don't know if I would have been able to cross that hurdle, Mark. Extending the school year, no, it remains the same.
Okay.
Yes.
So I guess I would just like to clarify that the September PD day is one of our virtual days as well, I believe.
No, that's,
I think we do have a virtual day.
on the 25th?
25th, yeah. Because I thought we had 4 of them.
We have,
1, 2, 3, 4. Don't we?
so are you looking at draft? What draft is that?
D.
Draft D. Okay, so you're right, we do have 4.
So I would just again like to share with primarily new members, everybody, there is a calendar committee that meets and puts thoughts on the table. And the calendar committee consists of building principals on all levels, staff members from all levels, different departments, some co-curricular. There are so many minds that kind of come together and work on this. And we met, I think, on this calendar 3 or 4 times. And every time, there was a proposal, this is draft D. People thought of another thing. There are quarter classes in 7th and 8th grade. And so when you scattered the virtual days in, you wanted to be sure that they were thinking of that. And there were, it's a very collaborative thing. I applaud the work that Dr. Brown initiated to make this possible. And there is enough minutes in K-6, but we need to add minutes or be conscious that our minutes, if we add extra snow days in a year, our high school minutes, we don't want to get to May and have to say, well, you got to come on, an hour early or an hour late. So, I appreciate that they buffered in enough time so that we won't run out if we have multiple snow days. But it's a really collaborative effort, and so there will be 4 of these
You're right,
days where our K-6 kids are completely off, and our 7-12 kids will be working virtually to keep up with the 7-12 minutes that we need. Nice job
Any
on
other,
doing this.
we forgot that one there, but you're right, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Any other questions we can ask, or answer? I guess we can ask too, but any other questions we can answer?
I do want to compliment the responsiveness to the K-6 teachers in particular to get the parent conferences aligned with the 7/12 on a Thursday, Friday versus on a Monday or a Tuesday.
And that was
I-
brought up.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm appreciative of that.
So back to Joan's point, what I learned with the calendar, I walked into a calendar where PD days were already there, right, in my previous district. So it is like playing the whack-a-mole game because we are on so many different schedules in our buildings. We're trying to meet the needs of our teachers. And so while the high school, one of our high school teachers brought information back to us, the middle school said, oh, no, it won't work for us. So I just asked our teachers to, let's take make this a trial run in our 26-27 school year. Let's see what that brings to the table. And then as we plan for 27-28, we certainly can make adjustments where we can. The overarching idea is to provide that additional time and support for our teachers to collaborate or have additional professional development, which in turn will help us leverage higher student outcomes. So,
I guess I have more of a comment. I think we know from our COVID remote working experience that there are some families who may need assistance with access to Wi-Fi. And the district had made available, I wasn't on the board at the time, so I'm kind of looking to the board members who had been on the board at the time. There were district available devices that students could bring home if they didn't have their own Wi-Fi access, so that there wasn't a concern with remote work if they lived in accommodations that didn't have Wi-Fi. So I guess
Good
I would just
reminder,
ask
yeah.
that we be mindful of making sure that there's access to Wi-Fi that'll be needed for that remote work, unless the intent is that remote work does not require Wi-Fi access. My mind just went to the fact that it would. If it doesn't, great, and disregard, but
teachers,
just to revisit what we have available for those folks who might need
that's
it.
a great point. It's kind of far removed from COVID, and we tend to forget things. So thank you for bringing that up. Teachers will have an opportunity to decide whether that's synchronous or asynchronous learning.
Okay.
And the idea, we can work with Tim and team to be able to get that information out to our families and our parents well enough in advance so they can plan accordingly and be able to call us if they need additional assistance with either a device or an access point to Wi-Fi. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Is there any, we look at this as a snapshot of this is what the next year is going to be. Is there a way, just like we're doing in the handbooks, a summary, like there's this crazy to ask, what are the differences in this calendar from the last, like what are the big changes? Is there something, oh, well, we didn't do this before at all, you know what I mean? Like, we're observing something differently than last year or something, and we're getting our instructional time in the same, but at what expense or something,
We really are adding 4 PD days
Okay.
for professional development. That's the biggest
really it.
change.
At no
that-
cost.
Yeah. Still starting and ending at relatively the same amount of, it's the same number of days that we're paying our staff, but they're building in 4 professional development days, hopefully to advance our student achievement.
At the expense of instructional time? No, because that has to stay the same, right?
No,
So-
the required instructional minutes from DPI will remain the
Yep.
same.
And that's where the virtual time comes in for those 4 days. Only in our 7-12 group, because our K-6 have plenty of minutes. They don't.
But this will be less minutes for the K-6 than what, like 25, 26 will be.
No,
They have enough minutes.
they have over the years, K-6 has had enough minutes. They were always over the minutes here. And so this does not eliminate any of it doesn't, we still meet the threshold, is the best way for me to say it.
I understand that. My question is a little bit different. So like the number of minutes for K-6 in 25, 26 will be 4 days more than it will be in 26, 27, even if 26, 27 is still meeting the threshold.
Yes,
That's
you're
correct.
right.
That's a great way to put it, yeah, that is correct.
So they are dropping,
Yeah.
they're having less instructional time. And we're treating virtual instruction quality as the same as in-person instruction. That's what we're looking at that. as
Minutes.
Minutes wise, yes.
I mean, not something I'm a fan of at all.
I think the hope is that we gain from professional development in the quality of instruction that our teachers are able to perform on an everyday basis. That professional development will increase what they are able to do, and what they do is more effective than it had been. That's our hope. And again, we're doing it as a trial. I'll be real honest, there was some skepticism in some of the people at the calendar committee that there are buildings that utilize staff development far more effectively and robustly than other schools. But, you know, until you try it, you don't know if it's gonna help. And that's what is being laid out, is that we try to mix it up a little bit. A lot of teachers beg for more time to collaborate and look at test scores, and, you know, it's, as Dr. Brown said, it was kind of like you please one group and then another group is not being pleased. So it's just a trial.
Yeah, my understanding is that the staff development is going to be fairly directed, and that the use of that time will also allow for that collaboration. So it's doing multiple things, but it's not like giving the staff a work day, and they choose what they're going to do with that time. And so I'm excited about the possibility. We know that our neighboring school district in Madison actually have an entire day per month that the entire staff is, you know, students are off. This is sort of a hybrid of that. And I think in terms of trying to achieve the academic goals that we're looking for, and to give the teachers the enrichment they need to help bring that about, it's something worth trying.
Yeah, and that's what I think we need to do, is give it a try. And I don't disagree with you, Ted. Virtual days are not probably as robust and effective as face-to-face days. We need to be conscious of the minutes. But I hope there's a trade-off in what staff get from these staff development days that make them more effective in the classroom.
I think one of the pieces to consider in the virtual space is virtual is not going away. And for Steve and I have talked about this a little bit, and just for our older kids, when we look across the nation in different organizations and spaces, navigating virtual may not be in every space, but it's a thing that it's a vehicle that will not go away. And so one of the pieces that's advantageous to our kids working in the virtual space is time management, right? So what does that look like when I'm not in the building? I do have this asynchronous or synchronous learning opportunity, and I have my sports event, and I have all of the things that Michelle mentioned on the plates of kids today, in terms of what they have to navigate. So I just think it's a space for learning for our kids as well. Again, the teacher decides whether it's synchronous or asynchronous. We'll certainly keep this in mind in terms of making sure our kids have all of the access points and devices they may need, depending on which way our teachers decide to utilize this learning opportunity for our kids. But I think now this is Monica's humble opinion in collaboration with Steve, and I just had a conversation around working virtually will more than likely be something moving forward. Maybe not in every organization. However, that time management piece that comes along with that for our older kids, I think is well worth having them get trained in that space. So just the flexibility of working from in person to the technology that we have, I think it can go a long way in helping our kids in that space moving forward as well.
I guess ultimately we'd be judge by the achievement, if it's being improved or not. You won't see it in a year, but I don't think I can really support for that reasoning. So I'll probably vote no on it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what Ted's saying, especially K through 6. That was rough for parents that have been through, COVID and trying to, but not being through K through 6, 7 through 12. To your point, Dr. Brown, I think there's an advantageous tool, right, for not only the kids, but the teachers, especially if we have some type of incident that may require us to have an extended duration of school closure for whatever, whether, who knows, right? So I think it is to that point about teaching older kids about time management, having the ability for our instructors and our teachers to have additional resources to leverage to minimize potential downstream, interruption education could be valuable now in a little bit more of a measured dose.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on that? If not, I'd like a motion, if there's one out there, to approve the calendar for the 26-27 school year.
I make a motion to approve the calendar. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No.
Thank you. All right, moving on to, we already have done that. We are down to the Board of Education coaching. You want to
Yes,
talk
I
about what you
will. Let me
found?
just get there really quick. So a couple months ago, the board asked me to explore or examine opportunities for a board coach based on reading the book that we all have before us, Great on Their Behalf. I did have an opportunity to talk to the author of Great on Their Behalf. He's expensive, very pricey, to the tune of $80,000. What I will say I did like about his approach, however, is what they do is they do a pre-assessment with all of an individual pre-assessment with all of the board members. They reach out to you, talk to you via phone, ask you a series of questions. And so from that pre-assessment, what they do is they decide whether or not they want to take on particular school boards. And so I had a great conversation with him. It would not necessarily be him as I understand it. He has a series of consultants that works on his behalf. So that's really what AJ was able to bring in terms of Great on Their Behalf. And so that's his take on board coaching. And then I have had an opportunity to work with CISA 6. Ted Knightsky is the executive director of CISA 6. He's the mayor of Port Washington and a former superintendent who also does board coaching or coaching for boards. He's to the tune of $1,000 a session. He would ask that we select dates that are separate from our board meetings for 90-minute sessions 3 times a year. So I bring that information to you. Please decide on how you would like for me to proceed. If you decide to move along with Ted, we would then sit down and look at a series of dates where he would, ideally what I would, for your consideration would be to start after July 1 and maybe have one at the beginning of the school year, one in the middle, and then one at the end. For those 3 sessions, it's certainly up to you to decide how you want to approach it. That makes the most sense in my mind. However, he's a great presenter. I have been in his space on numerous occasions, and because he has a superintendent lens, elected official lens, I think he would bring something to our district if you so choose. He's also going to serve as a presenter for us around the cycle of continuous improvement at our administrative retreat for cabinet in June as well, to talk about continuous improvement and the process of change and what that can look like. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer, but wanted to circle back to you around your ask for a board coach.
Do you feel his coaching would fall along the lines of this book, and what's represented in there? Do we know what the
his would be, there are some aspects of it that would be similar. I could ask him to submit an outline for you to be able to see what his discussion will center around. I can bring that back for you.
Yeah, I would want to see that, and does he, like, how does he decide what we need as a board?
I can ask.
Yeah. Or do we decide and tell him what we think we need as a board?
I can reach back to him. The work that he had done, that I'm familiar with previously, was based on board need. So however you would like to approach it, if you want to say, hey, here's what we think we need, or asking him for a pre-assessment of some type. I could share the board evaluation information with him as a data point for him to take a look at. But it's certainly up to you.
Mark?
Yeah, I like the idea, particularly with almost half our board is new, and I think it would be a great collaborative experience to kind of grow together as a board and become a stronger board. It would be kind of interesting to find out, to Joan's question, after the pre-assessment, if he sees these needs, do we kind of get to pick and choose, like a buffet, which ones would benefit us the most? It would be nice to have a little bit of control over that, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if that's typical of how we operate, so.
I will reach back to him and ask.
So just for background, is there a specific area of opportunity with the board that you're looking for coaching on, or are you asking for someone to help us identify what those areas of opportunity are, then coach on it? What's the kind of what led up to this, to the ask for the coaching?
Well, so one of my superintendent colleagues gave me this book. We were just talking about board work, and he's been working with his board, facilitating conversations with his board through this work. And as you think about professional development from our lens, administrator lens, teacher lens, I thought it would be a great opportunity to work through this book as a professional development opportunity for all of us. Are there other books out there? Absolutely. So it wasn't really based on an assessment, if you will. It was living and learning,
Sure.
and acquiring a skill set around board work, board superintendent relations.
Yeah.
And this was recommended to me. So that's essentially what it was born out of.
Okay.
So the thought around what could we learn from this book that we could take and apply to our context would be a collaborative conversation we will have all together. That's where the conversation around having more information about student outcomes and student achievement at the committee meetings as well as the board meetings, that was born out of this book. And when you read chapter 2, of course, you see the two examples he has in the book around board agendas, focusing on student outcomes and or not.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the book's been really helpful, right? But my question is just the coaching, right? Is it going to support what we're learning? Is it going to provide a different viewpoint?
Okay.
Clearly, if we have the background on the book, especially as a new board member, it's been really advantageous to read and learn about. But I would just want to make sure this would be supporting that as opposed to
Exactly.
doing
It
something.
it was an intriguing point at the end of the first chapter, and coaching, isn't that how we kind of?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like,
Mhm.
who does
Never really
coaching?
thought about that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's,
that's how
Makes sense.
I personally would like to get more into the book and have an opportunity as, kind of new members to kind of get to know each other a little bit more through this book and philosophy. And I think our need may come out of those discussions.
But especially, we didn't get to chapter 2 tonight, but the questions that were asked were really kind of eye-opening in terms of what, I don't know. And I've been in the business for, for 35 years as a teacher, now 7 years as a board member, but, how do we as a board monitor achievement? And what skills do we need to make sure that happens? And so I think there are some real growth things if we're going to be spending more time looking at student achievement throughout our meetings. And tonight Ash was keeping track of student inputs versus adult inputs, and we were almost 50-50 tonight.
We did that.
But to be aware of that and to be making that our focus, I think there are some things we need to understand about the goals we're going to set and then how we monitor it on a long, so this could be really helpful, I think.
So that's a good point. Get further in the book, we see,
Yeah,
the research
you
that's
know,
really good
and
for us, but
it,
maybe it makes sense.
it seems like as our summer meetings roll around, we have more time
Yep.
than we have during our school year meetings. So maybe, June and July, we can get more into the book, and then we have a retreat possibly, or a workshop in July, and maybe that's where we kind of set the focus.
410, did he mention, does he have a contract that's done, that work is done through and executed with, or is it just an arrangement that,
He would submit a contract.
okay. Would he be willing to let us see that in advance so that we know what that would
I'm sure
involve?
he would.
I still think there's value in coaching in terms of like having that outside voice and the fact that while we have our board self-assessment, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. Like you said,
Right.
reading through the book and identifying things that maybe gaps that you hadn't even realized is one, so.
If we are going to do 3, I would like to encourage us to have the third one more mid-second semester than the end of the second semester. So it's not would not be the same amount of time between, but to have one towards the end of the school year, I think might be not as effective for us.
Right.
Something, be aware of that, I don't know.
So for consideration right now, what I'm hearing is to get through more chapters in the book. Let's see where that takes us. I can still reach back and ask him, do you direct us or do we direct you?
Yeah, I would like
kind of
to
question.
know how he sets that up and what his usual procedure is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Moving on to correspondence in your book, and I know we all had this sent to us by email. This Friday is our staff recognition. If anybody is available, it's always good to have some board members in attendance. If it could fit in your schedule, that would be great. We have dessert and refreshments at 6:30, and the program starts at 7, and it will be riveting.
I've heard great things about it.
It always is.
I've said most of those great things, but I've heard it too. So.
Anyway, it's always a wonderful night celebrating our staff and their accomplishments, their years of service, and the retirements, and it really is a wonderful evening. So if it works in your schedule, please do join us. Moving on to our meetings, before we go to our committee meetings, we would like to possibly set a special meeting for the month of June to revisit the high school, middle school campus. They are ready to bring some numbers to us and share more information. So the first date suggested is June 23rd. So we would have, our board meeting would be, I think, on the 8th. Where's our board meeting? 9th, and then would be 2 weeks later. Anybody available? Will that work?
Would it be 5 o'clock or?
5 if we could. Does that work?
Could we do 5:30?
5:30 could work. I'm okay with 5:30. Yep. Okay, so 5:30, so we need a motion for that because it is a full board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so it's 5:30, June 23rd.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that will be to discuss high school, middle school campus. And then we have a series of meetings scheduled through Rebecca, which I so appreciate. So we have, on May 19th at 5:30, the DEI meeting. Tuesday, May 27th, 7:30, our policy meeting. Monday, June 2nd, at 4 o'clock curriculum meeting. Wednesday, June 4th, 7:30 a.m., our budget meeting. And right after that, Wednesday, June 4th, at 8:15, facility meeting. And Thursday, June 6th, 7:30, co-curricular meeting. And then we have our regular board meeting on the 9th. And that's our month.
Okay, so a question I have, so on my calendar, they're marked in, but it's like a ghost mark in, like when I don't say yes. So has the invite gone out for them?
You need to say yes, and then it won't look.
But have the invitations gone out is my question, because I don't recall seeing any invitations.
Yes, I sent them out. But I will
Okay.
double check everything tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
So we don't have to have a motion or anything. This is just to be on your calendar, and Rebecca will
And I will double check it.
double check that this is accurate. Okay.
Just one piece to add, I forgot to mention that for our Warrior Spotlight. So tonight was our last Warrior Spotlight for the year, and we will ramp it back up again at the beginning of the school
I
year.
think it's been a
next year.
really nice addition
Yeah.
to our board meetings to bring our kids in. And it's been really meaningful to the kids. The kids have mentioned it to me. And it's just great to see those pockets of achievements in our district, so, good.
All right.
Okay, so I'm welcoming a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Well, you sure had the accolades, but you didn't say very much tonight.
You know what I'll do? I'm going to-
John, can you enlarge